Hello, everybody. It's Tughausen. Also, I'm wearing the Danhausen shirt. I had to do it. What's going on, everybody? Toogie here. I was about to sit down and record a franchise mode video when this list on the EA_NHL subreddit was brought to my attention, and I wanted to go through the list and address what's true, what's kind of true, and what's not true at all. Because I feel like that's fair. Now, this could be viewed by some as someone affiliated with EA just trying to defend them. I think the only people who will have that stance are people who are unfamiliar with this channel, because Lord knows, out of just about anybody on Earth, I have criticized this franchise, the dev team, to their faces, by the way, and yet I'm still affiliated with them. Why? Because they respect the back and forth. So, if you want to call this defending, sure, but hey, if something is right about this list, I will mention it. So let's get down to business. First and foremost, create your own plays. Yes, that has been removed since the prior gen, and yeah, in terms of whether or not I'd like it back, I wouldn't mind. It's more so just like, hey, what's true and what isn't. It is true this was removed. I can't imagine it was used that much. I can see why they probably removed it from a competitive sense. I wouldn't care if it was back in, but it's true it was removed. The skate blade radius, that was removed. You used to have 3 options. I think 11, 13, and 15, was it? Or 9, 11, and 13s. That would affect either, obviously, like the 11s, for example, would be a middle of the road. 9s would be better agility, less top-end speed, and the 13s or whatever would be the most top-end speed, but the less agility. It would be nice to have that back. I agree. That was removed as well. It'd be nice to have that back for a bit more customization. Several stick blade types removed. Ability to practice. Okay, so that's like 2-in-1. Remove several stick blade types. I genuinely don't know what they mean by that. In terms of, I imagine the stick blade types would have been the curve. I imagine he means the curve. Yes, along with that, the curves were removed. That would affect the shot power and accuracy and the typical placement. I'd like to see that back too. Sure. Removed ability to practice shooting, skating while editing a player or goalie. That was also removed, and I agree. That would be nice to have. Primarily for EASHL, but in a way, it doesn't make sense with what they did with EASHL, in that you used to just edit everything almost from like one big screen and just hop right back in. So far, out of those 4 points, yeah, everything was removed, and I think all could still have their place in the game. Net front tap in animations removed. I don't view that as true at all. You know, the contextual shooting and everything, like, okay, you might not see the exact same animations, but the idea that you don't see certain shot types in front, like, I get the idea of someone posting up, really squaring up to the puck and tapping it in, but I still see that happen. It depends on your positioning. I don't know, maybe I'm just a good enough player in the ASHL to square up in front of the net like that. Net animations removed. I mean, sure. I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'd have to go back and play like NHL 13 to see how much the net flows when a puck hits it. But, I mean, maybe it has been removed. I don't view it as a big deal. Broken glass removed. That is true. I've talked about it. I wish broken glass would still be in for the offline gameplay. For the online, I completely understand it not being in. You don't want random stoppages. People hate replays. People hate stoppages of play. So I get why they removed that. I don't view that as a big deal. For offline play, it would be nice. Stick breaking in the SHL, same thing. I don't view that as a negative or a overall removed feature at all. The reason for that is to keep the flow of the game going, because that's all people mention is fast, fast, fast. Hitting into the bench, yeah, I guess so. I'm trying to remember if I've had an instance of knocking somebody into the bench. Yeah, no, that should be in a hockey game. This is a big one that I completely agree with. It might even be, I mean, so far it's #1 on my list for what I'd like to see back. Blue line awareness, animations of holding the blue line. I mean, for the most part, yeah, like you don't really get the toe drag anymore. At least not all that much, it doesn't feel like. So I just think in general, and I've talked about this a ton, like blue line awareness needs to be drastically improved. Snapshot animations removed. I disagree. I'd be intrigued to see what animations he's particularly talking about, because for the most part, you know, if you don't hold to the right or left and you just hit up on the stick, you will still get a snapshot. And snapshots are a decent part of NHL 22. from what I'm aware of in terms of certain X factors affecting snapshot quality. So, 4 D-pad, come on now. Come on. Oh, they removed D-pad celebrations. They removed left stick goal celebration. You go to the player and creation screen and you get a list of 1,000 goddamn celebrations. Maybe not 1,000, but really? Come on now. Like, look, I like to have a good moan about EA as much as anybody. Sitting there saying that they removed 5 celebrations when they've completely reworked the amount of celebrations in the game. That's stretching. That's just looking to have more. That's looking to have a higher number to prove your point, I guess. Or to say, well, look at how much they removed. That's garbage. So is this. Live the Life removed. Are we acting like Be a Pro doesn't exist? And especially the current state of Be a Pro compared to what Live the Life was. Are we going to sit here and act like it's so drastically removed? No. I'm sorry. And, there was our conversation on Twitter yesterday, actually. It was Jay Fresh that put this up. Yes, I have 1,000 goddamn tabs at all times. Here, let's look at my likes on Twitter. There was a trailer for a Michael Schumacher video. Where was this? There's so much. Congrats on Mark Savard for becoming a head coach of the Windsor Spitfires. Yeah, hey, it's from Jay Fresh here. And he released this in particular about, what's everyone's favorite NHL game? And 14 won by a large margin, and 14 had Lived the Life. My opinion, again, I don't know if it's because these games have been rough in the most recent console generation, but for some reason there has been just this development of NHL 14 being this mythical, godlike game. I was a part of this community when NHL 14 was out. I was playing in LG when NHL 14 was out, if I'm not mistaken. I've been here for a long time, longer than I've been making videos. NHL 14 had its own fair share of issues, and Live the Life as a mode had its own fair share of issues. So let's not act like Be a Pro doesn't exist and isn't doing some of the same things, if not better, than what Live the Life did. GM Connected, obviously out. You guys know I want it to be in. I think it would be fantastic to be able to do a league. Like flat out, if GM Connected gets added back in, I will be doing a Patreon exclusive thing with my patrons on GM Connected. I'll be doing series with friends from YouTube and Twitch, I'm sure, in our own league. It'll be fun. It should be in. All-time franchise GM stats being removed. All-time franchise GM stats being removed. In terms of what I'm trying to think of, because obviously we still have the all-time team stats that were added in within the last 2 to 3 years. So I'm kind of confused at trying to remember what stats were there. I guess it would have been... I think I know what screen he was talking about, and I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to know how many wins you have all time and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, the GM stats should still be in. That's fair. Winter Classic being removed, I've argued for that. I mean, even if it's just generic-ass stadiums, Winter Classic branding, I'm surprised isn't in. Maybe it was because... I actually have no idea. I mean, I could only speculate. Maybe it was because it was so tied in with NBC, and then they dropped the NBC license. I don't know, because they didn't drop the NBC license until midway, if not at the end of this most recent console generation, but I agree that should be in. Be a GM customizer. Okay, so see, this is bullshit right here. Because this says last gen, Xbox 360, PS3. There was no office customizer in that gen. That game is right here, and it was this one, NHL 04. This is the one that had the office customizer. I'm trying to see if it's on the back of the box, and it's not. But this was gone. Like the whole, because we did a series on Twitch called Office Quest, where literally I played NHL 04 Dynasty, and it was called Dynasty Mode, by the way, at that time. Not Be a GM, so you're double wrong. Yeah, and I did it until we got the coolest office. I could load it up right now. I won't. But the point is, yeah, that's bullshit. That was removed almost 20 years ago. So, come on now. The phones being removed, sure. I can see why some people want phones back, but also I think that's bullshit, because by saying phones, you're talking about the trade deadline primarily, and we have just had a new trade deadline mechanic added into the game. So that's bullshit. Custom music and custom audio removed. That is not down to EA NHL. That is down to the consoles. You might notice there are certain things that are not possible on an Xbox One or a Series X that were possible on the 360. This is the primary thing. That is not an EA NHL thing. That is a console thing. So that's bullshit. And same thing happened to PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. From PS4 to PS5. Now you can't do that, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of some of those custom sounds. So that's also bullshit. Ability to control all teams in franchise removed. I don't know for sure if that's true, because I never try to control more than one team. I'm pretty sure it is true. And I agree. It'd be cool to just be able to control everybody. There's no reason to not have that as an option, so that's fine. International tournament mode removed. International tournament mode removed. Under what context? I mean, because it's not as if the Olympic license has ever been in there. Obviously, there was the World Cup of Hockey. I'm literally loading up NHL 21 now as I say this, because you had... I mean, you still... Let's go to the next one really quickly. Authentic goal songs removed. They've never had all of the authentic goal songs. It's why people like me like this. I've talked about this before. I still have a stack of CDs like this high where I used to put all the proper songs on because they were great members of the community that used to rip all of the songs. You could put it onto a CD, put it onto your Xbox, bam, good to go. So yeah, this idea of authentic goal songs, I mean, they had some of them. To me, it's not this horrific thing. I mean, it's a money thing. Obviously, EA should have more money. EA has money. Does the EA NHL budget exist? No. Looking at it now, indeed, an international tournament option is gone. I mean, you have the Champions Hockey League and the Spengler Cup in NHL 21 right now, but let's be honest. I mean, you can essentially customize these tournaments to pretty much be what you would want them to be. But I agree, there could be more options in that regard. I should leave NHL 21 loaded up just in case. In-game scores from other games removed. I'm trying to remember that even being a thing. Like, really, in-game scores from other games removed. I don't remember the last time I played it, like an NHL, like a franchise mode, played a game, and in the regular season saw scores from the other games. So that might have been in, it might not have been. I don't know when it was last in. I'd never remember that being in. Legends removed, that's a licensing thing. What do you want them to do? They have more Legends and alumni in the game now than they ever had. But that's a licensing thing. It just is. Skating through intro props removed. Yeah. Nope, you're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. I remember that was said, like it was one of the things, like, oh yeah, we want to get to it, and we're going to get to it soon, and they never got to it. So, no, I agree with that, and that should be in. It should be such a minor thing for the intros. NBC Authentic Broadcast removed. You can't act like that's a feature. And as it is, NBC doesn't even cover the NHL anymore. So that if they didn't get rid of it then, they'd have to get rid of it now. So, what, are you going to bitch now that TNT is not in? I mean, I guess you can. But their point of that is it allowed them to do... Like, number one, let's not sit here and pretend that people weren't bitching up a storm. That, oh my god, the NBC presentation is so boring and old, why don't they do something else? We have officially come full circle to where people are using it as a, look at how bad EA is, they got rid of it tactic. You know, it's... dynamic attendance removed. I could have sworn, for the most part, like, you still had the ability to, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking of NBA and how well they do it, but I could have sworn by the end of the game still that you see less, if you're blowing out the home team as the road team, you see less people in the stands. I could have sworn. Maybe not a drastic amount, maybe not by as much as they should, but still, I do think with attendance, you could factor it into owner mode, maybe have less people show up. I'm not saying it's perfect, but still. Helmet numbers removed. That's not true. In what context have helmet numbers been removed? That's not true at all. I just made a created team on NHL. You can check out the series on this channel. That's not true. Several custom logos removed. Okay, and then several dozen took their place, so what's your point? Would you prefer they have the same logos like Madden when Madden hasn't changed their logos in a decade? Different goalie animations. Fuck off with this. Uh-huh. And what about the ones that were added? What's your point? Some were taken out. A lot have been added in. Are you going to sit here and say to I'll ask my buddy Davos. I'll ask the Crease Police. I'll ask Wheels. I'll ask all kinds of Piterio. I'll ask all kinds of my friends. Shout out to Between the Pipes as well. Yeah. Not to mention the European scene. Shout out to McSavid and FaZe and so many others, and Kape. How many animations have been added? Like, if you look at goaltending from NHL 14 to goaltending now, get the fuck out of here with that. Authentic puck physics, a big seller for NHL 13 being removed. NHL 13, looking for it. Looking for it. It's here somewhere. It's on my shelf. I know it is. Hold on. We gotta go over here into the great beyond. Where the hell's my copy of NHL 13? Oh boy. Hold on. This could be a crisis. Oh, I got it, because it's the Stanley Cup edition. That's right. We're flexing. We're flexing the NHL 13 hard case. On the back, I mean, primarily it mentions the NHL stuff, but I mean, authentic puck physics. Are we acting like? Look, I love NHL 13. I love this game. Are we gonna sit here and pretend that the puck physics have gotten like significantly worse or better? Like, no, they're pretty much about the same. Let's be honest. So that's also garbage to act like they don't also still hype up authentic puck physics. All-Star Game being removed. Hands up. It's out, and it shouldn't be. That's bullshit. It's the same thing as Madden removing the Pro Bowl and putting it back in. It's bullshit. It should be in the game. This as well, the Trophy Cup banner. Yeah, the Stanley Trophy Cup. I combined them. Stanley Cup banner being removed from franchise. I agree as well. That was one of the best things about winning the Cup. Season opener, home opener the next game. You see the banner go up. That should be back in. I agree. That was removed. The trophy banner presentation removed from ESHL. Same thing. That should be in. And then again, for the second time, you mentioned the stick flex options, because you mentioned them up here. So, and again, I already mentioned that one. Award winners mentioned in franchise mode commentary removed. I'll take your word for it. I can't argue and say for sure. I haven't heard Sobolski mention it. Every 2 years, Bauer goalie pads get removed, but we have 10-year-old Vaughn and Warrior pads. Again, that's a licensing thing. Like, they might have the rights in perpetuity for Vaughn and Warrior stuff, but Bauer, who's to say? And it's just, that's how shit is. Authentic goalie helmets removed. Again, that is not down to them. Like, understand the logistics of this. To have proper goalie equipment, it's not as if there is an association of artists that you go to and work out the deal so that every artist is who's in that association, all of them, every artist who's making NHL goalie helmets, goalie masks, they're all in the same group, and if you get the one license, you're good. You need to get permission and the rights from every single goddamn artist, and if that artist is like, oh, here, let's take a look. NHL goalie masks, right? Let's take a look here. So, for example, here's Batman, Lego Batman. So not only do you need to contact the artist, you need to get permission to use the Lego Batman on that. You would obviously need to get permission from fucking Sony or Marvel or whoever to have the Spider-Man mask in the game, because, again, that's its own intellectual property. In terms of that pirate, I have no idea. But there are there's 1,000 goddamn examples. I mean, again, you'd have to get, the Jacques Plante's foundation or family's approval to get that added in there. I think you get the point. It's a really complicated thing. A super complicated process. So if they've had them before but lost the rights, I don't view that as a fair thing to judge them on. Ability to turn off retired numbers, I agree. You should have the ability to give everyone 99 if you want to. Strategy settings used to have visual demonstrations. I agree with that as well. It used to be really good, too. The ability to, just sit there and, I remember, NHL 05, I think it was, or maybe even 04, Mark Crawford did these tutorial videos to show people, oh, here's what the umbrella means. That stuff is still needed. Now, they do have the Hockey Canada tutorials and stuff like that to explain quite a few things, but I agree, it could be more in-depth. Intro presentations removed, that's not true. They've been readjusted. For the worse, but they've been readjusted. Obviously, there's still intro presentations, I agree. I would love individual lineup intros. I'd love the national anthem and shit like that, but let's not sit here and be like, okay, I hit A and I'm playing. Like, that's not how it works. Deep, rich colors removed from the customizer. You no longer have the ability on the color wheel to create it. All colors are now washed out with a grayish. I disagree with that. As well as someone who just used the color wheel as well. I mean, just have more finesse. The ice used to affect the puck physics. The longer the period went on, rough ice would produce more bounces, etc. What game on the 360 were you playing that did that? As someone who's played the 360 generation of these games from 07 to Legacy, which one in particular? I'd love to see it. I mean, in theory, yes, that's how it works, but I don't know about that. Ability to edit player positions and franchise removed. I agree with this, but flat out, I mean, the reason I was told as to why they did this was, again, they didn't necessarily want people just to be able to change things to always max out line chem, which makes sense in theory. The problem then becomes when their provided rosters aren't very good, it creates an issue. So I'll give that a half point. The ability to start Be a Pro in the minor leagues. I mean, if you want to start off in the AHL, yeah, you should be able to. Demonstration of coach settings and types removed. That's the same thing. That's basically the same thing as the visual demonstration. So again, ability to see more than just 5 years of recent trophy winners removed. I agree with that. I mean, that was more of a staple of the 2K series. Was getting to see all the award winners. I agree, there needs to be more. Jersey physics from NHL 6. Fuck off. The jersey physics from NHL 16. You mean this? As you're skating down the ice? That's what you mean? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. That's bullshit. You know it. Injured players in NHL 14 need to have special face protectors such as full bubble or jaw shield if they hurt their face. I agree. That should be in as well. Should still be in. That was pretty cool. Used to have the ability to assign scouts to specific player positions. I mean, they simplified scouting. If you want more in-depth scouting, I agree. I want more in-depth scouting, but I don't view that as like a major loss, because if you remember how scouting used to be in the 360 days, it was shit. It was shit. It's a lot better now, even though it's still not great. 3 stars of the game presentation removed. I agree. That should be in. That should be back. Mid-net cameras removed. Oh, we don't get a replay from this camera angle, but I'm going to ignore how in the new presentation they are able to use these replays that they weren't able to use when they had to do NBC-specific things. Come on now. Come on. Yes, they removed that camera. How many have they added? Come on. Especially the one from all the way down the other side of the ice when a goal scored over there and you can't see what the fuck's going on. That one's my favorite. No overtime winner celebration. I mean, yeah, I mean, a more in-depth thing would be nice, but you still get, hey, players coming off the bench. You still get the big team celly at the end. No custom camera option. I agree there should be that. It would make for interesting YouTube videos, interesting challenge videos, but at the same time, there's more camera options now than there ever was back then. Celebration for the Cup and Series wins are now the same in the past, only gloves would come off in the final victory. I mean, you talked about what was removed, though. So basically you're saying, well, they removed this minute detail. Again, reaching. I agree, though, like the animations need to be better, the cutscenes need to be better, but come on now. No mobile app. Sure. If you want to be able to work the market while you're on the bus, you should be able to. Ability to see the amount of users online. Who gives a flying fuck? I mean, I get the idea of if I'm going to play a drop-in game at 4 in the morning, I want to know if there's more than 10 people online. But you'd also figure that out pretty quick. Sure. That's another one to the list. Favorite team option. Used to personalize the menu with pictures of your favorite team. Okay. Yep, that's worth complaining about. Come on, man. Come on. Let's ignore the fact that it still is the basis for stuff in Ultimate Team and stuff like that. Come on, man. Action tracker on all events removed. The action tracker's still fine, though. European teams used to have several different arena types. Now it's only one default arena. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, there weren't, like, several different types, but it's more than what it was. European leagues used to have advertisements all over the ice. Uh-huh. Yep, want that back in. Goal horns used to be accurate. Most definitely still are. Goal celebration cutscenes now show everyone as the same height. I mean, they pretty much always did back then, too. That's just a thing. For the most part, like, you see that in MLB The Show as well. Like, you make a 6'10 giant, and he celebrates at home plate if he knocked in a guy from third base, and he's still the same height. Like, that's most sports games. So, okay. Goalie stick tape used to have a full custom color palette. Sure. We could have that back if we want. Surprised you're not just happy we can still customize it. Playoff towels removed from certain NHL teams. Certain? Which ones? Which ones? Because I recall seeing those fucking towels all the time. Fuck off. Collision physics removed. That's very vague. If you're talking about not being able to run goaltenders anymore, yes, that was removed. Why was that removed? I fucking wonder why. Oh, well, the hitting's changed. I agree. It's not as if hitting's gone. It's worse. It wasn't great back then, though. NHL 13 and 14, hitting was shit. The second after Johnny Superb Man posted the Hercules check. After that, I think it went to trash. Player fighting goalies removed. I mean, sure, that should be an option, but again, like, features. Are we really calling that a feature? You know? I mean, sure, I guess. Fans used to boo the opposing player that injured their team's player. I don't recall that at all. Could be wrong. I don't remember that at all. That sounds like wishful thinking. Hut points rewarded for playing in a game mode. Do you really want this? Do you really, though? Like, yes, it was removed. Do you really want that back, though? Because I'll tell you, I don't like playing franchise mode on MLB The Show and being reminded about how I can go into Diamond Dynasty and potentially spend money. I don't like that. You might, but let's not pretend that it's incredible, okay? Season length removed. I mean, yeah, sure, you should be able to customize the length of the season. Franchise mode used to have practice. That should be in, too. I mean, okay, that's the hill you want to die on. I agree, though, it was removed. It should be in. Ability to predict the shot while playing goalie. I mean, what do you want them to do in that regard? Because you still have that in a way with the desperation stick. You're just not allowed to pre-hold it to the right to go in that direction. But you now have more animations and options to save a shot that's tough like that. Basically, instead of just holding the button, you still have to react. So instead of holding the trigger to predict the shot, you just, as your human self, predict the shot. Gallery will save videos and pictures from instant replay removed. I don't know why that was removed, in fairness. Fair enough. Goalie helmets used to come off. Who gives a shit? Again, that has to do with the collision of running the goalies. Scoreboard on top removed. So? You're acting as if the scoreboard was removed. They moved the scoreboard. The option to have it on top was removed. Don't act like they removed the scoreboard. If people are still bitching about the scoreboard on the bottom, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's not that, genuinely, as someone who plays a decent amount of this game, it's not that big of a fucking deal. It's not. It's not. Breakaway counter stat removed. Sure, but as if it fucking worked in the first place. You sat here and you mentioned getting stuff from Hut. And I see right here, relive past moments. So that was one of the things that you used to be able to get Hut coins for. And one of those challenges, we're always, get a breakaway. 2 breakaways in a game. How many times did those fucking breakaways even register? Fucking never. The enforcer system was removed. No, it wasn't. I can tell you right now, I can load up a game of NHL 21. If I hit somebody and injure them, one member of their team will come over and fight me. That's still in. Feedback voting with EA doesn't exist anymore. Feedback vote. That's not a feature. You're talking about Twitter. What feedback voting in the game are you talking about? Oh, well, EA changed the way on social media that they get information from us, so that's bad for the game. Like, that's a whole different argument. Numerous authentic jerseys removed. Licensing issue. Ability to check box scores of past games in franchise mode. I don't know about you guys. I don't recall being able to do that in the NHL for a long fucking time, if ever. Could be wrong. That was a 2K thing. 2K10, you could do that. Pretty sure NHL 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Pretty sure you couldn't do that. I don't remember it. Play today's matchups removed. Who gives a shit? Who cares? I didn't load into the game and it immediately didn't say that Boston plays Carolina tonight and that I can hit the button right now to play it. You're stretching. You are stretching this argument so thin when if you just kept this concise and this shit too, the only reason anybody played it was for the extra hut coins. Once they removed that, which I agree that should probably have been in, but once they removed that, this mode fucking died and people didn't play it. So then the next year, they didn't even add fucking moments. So it is what it is. There are legitimate arguments, legitimate points of features that were removed. 82, technically 83, no. Stretching that thin. Yes, a lot of stuff has been removed from the game over the years, and they add it back in and act like it's a new feature, and it's fucking bullshit. It is. I'm not arguing that. But a list like this is, I'm sorry, no disrespect to this person, I do not know them. But this seems like karma farming that paid off to me on Reddit. That's what it seems like. And I do not blame people in a way for us just now hearing about NHL 22 publicly, and people are just like, oh my god, they've only mentioned Frostbite and X Factor so far, and oh my god, there's this history, and the first game on Next Gen last time sucked. I get why people are so negative right now, rightfully so. But something like this is just, again, you have, 30, 35 legitimate things instead of acting like celebrations were removed and then dozens and dozens weren't added in. So, hey, my thoughts on this list, a lot of people shared it with me. Again, legitimate points and then some not so legitimate points. But there is no denying that, yes, absolutely, some stuff has been removed from the game, and it's bullshit that it has been. And we all want this series to be as good as it should be, to be as good as it can be, and hopefully, maybe somehow, possibly, we start to get there. I get it. It's super easy to focus on the negatives. But as somebody who has played the shit out of stuff like this recently, not just remembering, recently, there were more issues with those games than people like to claim, and in some ways, the game has gotten significantly better since then. That is just a fact. That's not an opinion. You can look at aspects, at the scouting, at fucking Ultimate Team in general if you want to. Certain aspects of franchise mode, certain aspects of EASHL, like some things have gotten better. Everything hasn't gotten worse. That said, NHL 2K, fingers crossed. Let's see some competition. Let me know what you guys think of this. This rant's over, I suppose. Again, if you're interested, the second channel's out there. Madden series going up on that channel, trying to get that to 1,000 subs, and the Toogie Steak podcast channel, also trying to get that to 1,000. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.